Like to give a little bit of context. I come from a playing background, and in the past, I've also worked as a sporting director. Those experiences gave me perspective not only from being on the pitch as a player, but also the management side of football. When I worked as a sporting director, I was part of a team that played very offensive football. We were forward thinking, always on the front foot, and we scored a lot of goals. While this might sound like a great thing, and it is, it also shaped my view of the game. Because even though we scored a lot of goals, we conceded too many goals, either on transition or we were weak on set pieces. It was a lot of goals conceded. And that showed me something really, really important and shaped my view of football. As fun it was scoring a lot of goals, as bad it felt conceding a lot of goals. So, attacking football means nothing without an organization, a good defensive organization behind it. You can be as aggressive and offensive as you like, but if you don't have a strong defensive structure, it will not bring you success. And as a player, I also learned about leadership. The coaches who got the most out of me were not the loudest ones, nor the most verbal or intimidating. They were the ones who made me feel important, who made me feel valued, and who created the best environment where I didn't want to let them down. I wasn't afraid of them, I respected them. And that feeling made me give everything for them and the club. These experiences, both as a player and as a sporting director, has shaped how I now see leadership and football. And they form the foundation of my coaching philosophy. For me, leadership is never and should never be about fear. It's about trust. It should be about respect and inspiration. The best coaches I had in my career was the ones that inspired me the most. I want my players to feel that they can give everything without being afraid of mistakes. The way I lead is very simple. I set the standard. I set the standards through my behavior, my discipline, and the way I carry myself on and off the pitch. No excuses. If I expect focus, commitment, and discipline from the players and my staff, me myself, I must live it first. Because in the end, players don't just listen to what you say, they watch what you do. And if your actions don't match your words, you will lose face, you will lose your credibility as a leader. That's what I mean by leading by example and not by fear. So, like I said earlier, I believe players perform the best when they are motivated, not intimidated. My job is to create a safe space, create an environment where they want to give their best because they feel valued and trusted. For that to happen, it requires consistency, it requires a lot of honesty and integrity in everything I do. If I demand discipline and hard work, then the work ethic must start with me. And above everything, I have two values that are non negotiables for me, whether it's staff or players: integrity and respect. And we speak about respect a lot: respect for teammates, opponents, referees, fans, people in the city you just walk past. Without respect, there is no culture. Without integrity, there is no trust. If a player, for example, feels he's in a safe space, a young player, maybe a center midfielder, he will try this risky pass that maybe breaks lines and creates something for the team. If he feels fear, he will play it backwards or sideways. The first one maybe creates chances, the other one doesn't. I don't lock myself into one system or formation, but I work with very clear principles. Always with an attacking mentality, always on the front foot. If we win the ball high after pressing high, our first thought should be, can we score from this opportunity? If not, then we recycle the ball and keep the ball and wait for the next chance. And if we lose it again, our mentality should always be, we need to win the ball back as soon as possible in the best way. And when it comes to formations, for me, it always depends completely on the context, always on the players and the squad I have available. I always want to put my best 11 players on the pitch. Of course, you need a good balance, but for me, the best players should always play. So if I have three or four really strong center backs, then for me, naturally, I will look to play with three at the back. If I have two really strong strikers, really good number nines, then it makes sense for me to play with two forwards. And the point I want to make is that I don't force the players into my system. I form the system around their qualities. For me, football must always be played with intensity, with a lot of energy, and very, very big courage. These principles never change with me. I love having control of the game, but always to play with purpose. Us having the ball must mean something and must lead to something. Possession must have purpose. In one game, we might dominate the possession, but we lose 2-0, and we didn't create or we don't create too much goal scoring opportunities. This means that our possession didn't bring us anything. We just kept the ball for the sake of it. Possession is meaningless unless it leads to something constructive. Progress up the pitch, goal scoring chances, goals. We move the ball with purpose. We move the ball to move the opponent so we can play the ball forward. If we score a goal after have 25 consecutive passes, that is good. That is fine. But if we can score with 2, 3 passes, that is even better. With this attacking mindset I have for my teams, as I mentioned earlier, it is very important to have a good organization behind the ball. Because when you attack with a lot of numbers and you fill the box with a lot of numbers, you're always vulnerable for transitions. That is why rest defense is key. And I work a lot with the concept of rest defense. It protects us when we lose the ball and it allows us to stay proactive even when we're attacking. That's how I see the game. Always proactive, always aggressive, but always adapted to the qualities of my squad. So, I'm not a coach who forces players into one fixed system. The principles stay the same, but the solutions may adapt. Formations must fit the players, not the other way around. If the squad is built for pressing high, we will press high. If the strengths are different, then we adjust the pressing and the structure regarding to the players and the characteristics we have in the team. What matters is that we are always proactive, always benefiting the players' qualities. And the game model grows from the players, not the other way around. That flexibility for me is not a weakness. For me, I see it as a strength. It allows us to adapt to different opponents and situations while staying true to our core principles. For example, in training, if we work on pressing high, our principles are very clear. Don't be passive, be aggressive, and force the play wide. The same principles apply even if we stay mid block, a little bit lower. Even if we defend a little bit lower, we're not passive. The moment the ball or the opponent enters your area, you must be aggressive and try to make them play out wide again. And even if we defend even lower and we defend deep, the same rules apply. We must be aggressive in our zones and we must always stay compact. So whether we press high or defend low, the principles never change. We always need to stay compact and aggressive in our zones. So to be able to play the way I want, I always look to have a good mix of players, a good balance between younger players, older players, experience, non-experience. So the first one, I divide them into three. The first one, the first category is the core players. Among these players are the leaders, the role models, the one who set the standard every single day in training and games. They are the backbone of the team. They are the most important players, I would say, and they carry the culture of the team. The second category is the young prospects, the young talented players who train and compete alongside everybody else, learning what it means to be a professional and to live the culture. And these players, I would say, represents the future. And third category, I would say I call the impact players. Players who bring specific qualities that can make the difference in different situations. Maybe one player who has a lot of pace. We can use him in transitions, maybe the last 15 minutes of the game, or if we're down one game, for example. Or maybe a tall striker, maybe not so very good quality wise, but dominance in set pieces. Or we have a player that's really good or creative in the last third. When these three groups come together, you create both stability and growth. One important thing to say also about the third category, it is the squad players. They are not happy, I wouldn't say happy, but they accept their roles. They're role players. Maybe they play 15 games a year, maybe they play 5 games a year, but they're very important for the team. The leaders give the standards, the prospects brings the energy and future potential and joyfulness, and the impact players, they add dimension that makes our team stronger and makes the team very hard to play against. For me, culture comes before everything else. System, tactics, they are important in football. Don't get me wrong, but they only work if the culture is strong. Team identity is always greater than any formation or technical plan. The environment, the foundation has to be built on trust, respect, and discipline. Standards are set every single day during trainings, during games, not only on the pitch, but also it's important what the players do off the pitch. Because in the end, culture is always what lasts. Players, they change. Systems, they change. Coaches, they change. But a strong culture in a club, it always remains, or within a team. For example, culture is really, really important. Why? When you see a team with a good, strong culture, players, you watch the dressing room. In the dressing room and on the pitch, players hold each other accountable. If someone is late or drops out, drops their intensity, the group demands the standard, not just only from the coach. So whether we change formation during a game or adapt the tactics, the behaviors, the intensity, the respect, the commitment always stays the same. That is why I always put and try to fix the culture in the team, the club first. Without it, tactics fall apart. With it, any system can succeed, in my opinion. So, my leadership is built on trust, respect, and integrity. My football, attacking, purposeful, and brave. And my teams are always built on the squad I have. They're always built on the strengths of the player, but with clear and concise principles. Because when principles are clear, the players grow, the team evolves, and success becomes sustainable. And I believe this is the power of a clear and strong identity.